move on to another one of our favorite subjects, the redevelopment agency. And Steve Duncutt, our office is going to we'll switch presenters here. Steve has been involved with some of the research we're doing with the RDA. So,
and I have to make one correction to something that Dwayne had said. The apartment complex he referenced is not the Cleric Court apartment complex. It's the recently renamed Dwayne Hill Manor.
As long as it's not Dwayne Hill Memorial.
I agree. I still have a hard time speaking that name, but I appreciate it.
Still got that sense of humor, Dwayne.
All right, so just to sort of, as an introduction to this, I'm going to talk about redevelopment. There's a lot of talk about the redevelopment agency, redevelopment in general. And what I'm going to try to do here is just sort of tie together what redevelopment is, what it does at a state level, and what we've done with it at the local level, and what we can do with it. And I think that Tom's going to expand on what we can do with it a little bit more after I'm done. So just sort of generally, and just so that you're not on pins and needles here, Supervisor Pinches, but I'm not going to be talking about the exact funds that we've got available at this time. Again, all that's going to be coming in the 5-year implementation plan, which we'll be bringing before the board here in the very near future, which will be sort of a specific blueprint. So what is redevelopment? The general, or the very dry definition is that it's a way for cities and counties to eliminate blight from designated areas and achieve desired development, reconstruction, and rehabilitation. It's authorized by the California Constitution and it's regulated by the Health and Safety Code. It's an open process and it allows for community input every step of the way. And we'll talk about some of these steps more in depth. But from doing an initial survey and determining blighted areas to coming up with a redevelopment plan, all the way through completing projects and ribbon cutting ceremonies. Provides huge economic benefits. Redevelopment is a multiplier and it works based on leverage. In 2003, it contributed over $31 billion to California's economy, created 310,000 full and part-time jobs, and generated over $1.58 billion in state and local taxes. It's kind of a general rule of thumb that for every dollar spent on redevelopment projects, whether it's for affordable housing or infrastructure, it generates almost $14 in total goods and services returned. It increases the housing supply. It's one of the solutions to some of the problems that have been discussed here today. It's the largest funder of affordable housing in California after the federal government. And since 1994, it's helped create over 73,000 units of affordable housing. There's 395 active redevelopment agencies in the state at this time. And those agencies control 759 project areas. Locally here, Fort Bragg, Willits, Ukiah, and the county all control separate redevelopment agencies. In general, redevelopment is about building better communities. But more specifically, it's a very powerful tool that allows the county to control and spend a greater percentage of the tax dollars generated locally for the benefit of our citizens. Redevelopment can build infrastructure, whether it's increasing water capacity or building water lines, sewer lines, improving streets. It can and does build affordable housing. And it absolutely supports jobs, most directly through construction and implementation, but indirectly through economic growth. Redevelopment works to eliminate blight, and when people say blight, there's always sort of the eyesore properties that come to mind, and those absolutely are blight. For the purposes of the agency, blight is even more broadly defined. So blight can be, it can be the causes of what you see. So it can be inadequate infrastructure, it can be vacancies in a commercial district. What it comes down to though is this is blight. This is right across the street from the Calpella Superette. It's conceivably a brownfield property. If, you know, it looks to me like at one time it had been some sort of a service station. It's conceivable there's underground fuel tanks. So along those lines, it would be a property that may qualify for funding for brownfield cleanup. This is certainly blight. This is the old Montgomery Ward's building on the south side of Ukiah, right next to the Grace Hudson School. It's a gigantic structure that hasn't been used since Montgomery Ward shut down. And then finally, this is absolutely blight. It's what everybody likes to think of when they talk about the redevelopment agency and doing something. So, yeah, that poster child. So this is in the North Ukiah project area, and it's blight. Before you do anything though, you need a plan. This is to sort of quickly go over what this board has already, well, and the previous board has already done. You need to